Skooma is pretty cool. It can make you run faster, jump higher, and it destroys your intelligence. Only by 2 points though, which is not so bad. That is until your intelligence reaches 0. But who cares about that when there is something even cooler? Like the people who use Skooma and sell Skooma and smuggle Skooma. There are a lot of them, and most of them tend to go completely unnoticed.
Get lost or I'll pull your arm off.
Well, their Skooma problems go unnoticed, which is why today we are going to uncover Oblivion's secret Skooma underground. The Imperial City is the crown jewel of Cyrodiil, but this place hides some dark secrets. Thieves, vampires, poor people, but most importantly, a Skooma addict. Perhaps the most famous Skooma addict of all time, Phalion. But right now, we don't care about that guy because we haven't started the Dark Brotherhood questline yet, which means currently, Phalion doesn't exist. No, right now we are interested in Trennis Duronius. Trennis Duronius seems like your average crazy guy. He's jumpy, he's slightly bald, and he says some crazy things.
Big city. I'd really love the lights at night. Shoo, shoo.
But Trennis has a secret. He's a Skooma addict, and he's not the only one. Gillifor has a problem with Skooma as well, but that's not really surprising. After all, Bethesda did create a Skooma dealer named Shady Sam and placed him just outside the Imperial City walls. So it would make sense that Bethesda would create some residents that had troubles with Skooma as well. Except, there's one big problem. Trennis Duronius doesn't get his Skooma from Shady Sam, and neither does Phalion.
Nordenor, in Bravil. He sells it late at night.
At first glance, this seems pretty innocent. I mean, Bethesda's video games are loaded with inconsistencies. Most likely, Phalion and Trennis go to Nordenor for their Skooma because that's the only Skooma dealer Bethesda had in development at the time. Most likely, Shady Sam was just a last-minute addition, plopped in so the player didn't have to go all the way to Bravil in order to get some Skooma. And considering he has no daily routine and therefore never leaves this one spot, that's probably what happened. But why Bravil? I mean, if Bethesda was developing a Skooma questline in the Imperial City, wouldn't it make more sense to make the dealer exist in the city as well? Well, the reason why they didn't is because Bethesda had intended for Bravil to be a Skooma haven.
All those Skooma-muddled Kaji laying around all day. It's disgraceful.
That's right, Bravil has some serious Skooma problems. Nordenor may sell Skooma late at night, but as it turns out, he is not the only Skooma-related NPC hanging out in this town. If you happen to show up at the right time, you'll find our old pals Trennis and Gillifor guzzling down some Skooma. As a matter of fact, they are chugging this stuff so much that they won't even stop during conversations, which, by the way, is the only animation of its kind in the game that plays during dialogue, which if you look at their mouths, you can probably see why. For some reason, Bethesda didn't bother to finish the animation, possibly because they couldn't get it to work right, which means the inside of their mouth has a tendency to clip through the bottom of their face. This also occasionally causes their mouth to be stuck in contorted positions until they perform a new animation. Now, as for the place that they're hanging out, they didn't pick this spot for no reason. They are in fact standing just outside of a Skooma den. The two are supposed to enter the Skooma den as well, but during development, Bethesda kinda forgot to make them part of the Skooma den faction. So instead of entering the building, they'll just stand outside attempting to use the door. Due to this problem, it's common for these two characters to be permanently stuck here. Unlocking the door, however, will fix the problem. Also, that means we can now enter the Skooma den and visit its inhabitants.
Been here, right here all day. Last night too. I wasn't there. Not there at all. I can totally prove it. Ask anyone.
The den's inhabitants also use the broken Skooma drinking animation, and they also have a ton of Skooma and 0 responsibility, which means they won't care if you steal from them at all, except for that lady. She has 10 responsibility.
Pickpocket! Pickpocket! Gotcha passes!
She cares.
Stop! You violated the law.
So now we know why Phalion is programmed to go to Bravil for his Skooma, but what about the city guard? Why don't they stop all this from happening in the first place? Especially since everybody seems to know about it. Wait, who is this? A new visitor?
Surely you must know who I am. The Count's son. Do you mind? I have no desire to be further acquainted with every visitor to Bravil.
Oh, well that makes a lot of sense.
Bravil? Count's a clown and his son's a Skooma sucker.
Okay, so we've taken a look at the Skooma den in Bravil, but what about something that is far less obvious?
Yeah, I'm Bazur Grogars. I got protection from the Aurum gang, so don't mess with me or they'll fillet you real good.
That's right, the gang of jerk orcs in Shadenhall are connected to the Skooma underground. These guys aren't Skooma addicts though, they are a Skooma gang, transporting Skooma from the manufacturer to the dealers. Middlemen, or middlewoman, I should say, because the only person who actually does anything is Ogash Gramaggle. Once a week, Ogash leaves Shadenhall to collect the Skooma. She will then sell all that Skooma to a couple of Kimona Tong gang members hiding out just north of Shadenhall. For those of you who haven't played Morrowind, the Kimona Tong are a crime ring who once held great power over the political system in Vardenfell. As for the other members of the Orm gang, they do mostly nothing, you know, aside from slinging insults all day.
You're a fly. Go ahead and buzz.
Although Dillfish does collect all of Ogash's profits after her Skooma run. However, unless you were looking at the game's codes or were following every NPC every second of their day, you likely would have no idea that these characters had anything to do with Skooma at all, which begs the question, why? Why did Bethesda develop these intricate behaviors if it was almost impossible for us to be able to notice them? Well, probably this is just an unfinished project that a developer had to abandon. Perhaps it was meant to be a quest that was scrapped, but it's very likely it was simply a world-building idea in development that Bethesda didn't have enough time to finish. That wouldn't be surprising, as it happens a lot during game development, and examples of unfinished projects are strewn throughout Bethesda's games. But there's one last important piece of information that I've yet to mention about the Orm gang, and that is where Ogash gets her Skooma. That place is the Imperial City. Somehow, we're right back where we started. The only other city with a Skooma dealer, Shady Sam.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Come here. I got what you need.
Was he meant to be far more important than he is? Perhaps? Or it's probably a coincidence. If you haven't already, make sure to watch my previous video, What is Wrong with Oblivion's NPCs?
I'm Jazindar. I tell you, so you can tell everyone who kicked the crap out of you.